of our 5th year, okay? We've had 4 years up to this point, and this is the first meeting of our 5th year. Raj?
Yes.
We want to thank you for being part of this group. We want to thank you for attending today. We want to thank you for being part of the community. But most of all, we want to thank you for the last 4 years. In the past year, we reached a milestone. We reached 4,200 members as part of the Newbie user group. And that, believe me, that is a big deal. And in 2025 alone, we added 1,000 new members. Now, we were real pleased, and this is information that we got just last week, that we are the #1 user group in terms of people coming out and looking at our recordings. And we all want to thank you for that, because that was a major milestone for us, and we didn't even know about it until last week. And thank Raj for doing that, because he's the guy that sees that those recordings are placed up where they need to be so that you can get to them. Raj, let's go to the next slide here. Now, I know that some of you are new. This is probably the first time you've been at the Newbie group. May seem a little strange to you. First, we want you to understand that, yes, we are recording the meeting, and that recording is going to be available. Now, you're going to see in the chat that maybe 30 or 35 times this morning, somebody's going to ask, is the meeting being recorded? And you can just respond, yes, the meeting is being recorded. You'll also note that we have turned off your audio and video, and that's because there's going to be a lot of you on the call today. There's going to be an awful lot of during the presentation itself. We'd ask that you use the chat to interact with each other. Please do that. Talk back and forth to one another. We encourage that and want you to do that. If you have a question for one of the speakers, please put it in the Q&A. And Varesh, have you started the Q&A?
Yeah, it's started. It's live.
Okay. Please put it in the Q&A so that it's much easier for us to follow the Q&A and answer your questions that way than try to keep up with the chat. Raj, next slide. Just a little bit about the group. If this is your first meeting, Klaus and I co-founded this group 4 years ago, and the purpose of the meeting was very simple. We found that a lot of users that were maybe a year and a half experienced with Tableau didn't feel that the content in their everyday user group really met their needs. And when we founded this group, our goal here was to have a group that was aiming to meet the needs of somebody with about a year and a half of experience. But we also knew that you're gonna matriculate, you're gonna get some experience, and you're gonna go on to other user groups. And we absolutely encourage that. We encourage that you consider the analytics group. That's an absolutely great group to go to, or an industry group, or one of your local groups. We meet every 6 to 8 weeks, so that's about seven meetings a year. And the meeting takes 2 parts. The first part is a how does that work part, where members of the Newbie team, and you can see us here, there's 7 of us in the team, will take a deep dive into some of the Tableau functions and explain how they work, and so that you've got a better understanding of the fundamentals and the basics of Tableau. And then we have a guest speaker from the community come in and speak on a topic of your choice and of our choice. And then we finally end up with a little fun time, and we have a quiz. And Laura's going to do the quiz today. Laura, wave at everybody so that they can see you. Laura's going to do the quiz today, and I'm pleased to tell you that there are no prizes. There is no money involved here, but you do get bragging rights. And in my household, that's really important to have bragging rights. Next slide. Okay. Now today, specifically, we're going to, after I get done mumbling here for about another few minutes, we're going to start the how does that work session. And for 2026, we've decided that our theme is going to be the road to certification. And the certification we're talking about specifically is the Tableau Data Analyst certification. And what we're going to do over the next 7 meetings is help you understand the fundamentals and the background in different areas and different topics that show up on that exam. After I'm done, Matthew Miller is going to speak to us how do you choose the right tool, the right Tableau platform to do what you need to do? And then we're going to have the quiz time. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Here in 2026, we have a new co-leader, and we're very proud and very, very pleased to have Priya with us. Priya joined our team. This is her first live meeting. And Priya, why don't you just introduce yourself and let everybody know where you are and what you do.
Hello everyone, very excited to be here. My name is Priya Padam. I am based in London and I work at VMO2 as a Senior Data Adoption and Insights Lead. I actually just joined VMO2 in November, so I'm just starting lots of new things apparently. But I'm also a 3-time Tableau Visionary, 6-time Tableau Public Ambassador, and I guess just Ambassador now. And yeah, I've been part of the community for almost 6 years now. Time has flown very fast, but I love this community and I'm so excited to be part of my very first tug. I've never co-led a tug before, and this is such an amazing team and I'm getting to know everyone and I'll get to know you as well. And yeah, I'm honored to be here and thank you very much.
Well, we're honored to have you. When we realized we needed an additional co-leader, we needed a co-leader, Priya was the first to raise her hand. We put a call out to the visionaries, and within like 30 minutes, Priya's hand was up. She said, yes, this is something I wanted to do. So we're really, really thrilled to have her here. Swati?
Hi, everyone. My name is Swati, and I work for JLL as a BI specialist. And it's been a 1.5 year ride with Tableau Newbie Talk, and it has been so far so amazing to be here. Yeah.
Viraj?
Hey, hi everyone, this is Viraj. I am from Mumbai, India, and super excited to welcome you all to the 5th season of the Newbies Talk. And this is the 5th year I'm repeating myself again. I am a Tableau newbie at heart, always learning new things in every session from every member. Welcome you all.
Yeah, Viraj was one of the first to raise his hand when we were looking for members to be part of the co-leader team. And Ankur?
Hi everyone, I'm Ankur from Bangalore, India. It's been a few months since I joined Tableau Newbie TUG, and I've been using Tableau from past 5 years.
Yeah.
And welcome to this year with lots of fun and learning.
Yeah, and Ankur has a very interesting background in one of my favorite pastimes. What is that, Ankur? What do you do? What is your background in?
My career has 2 parts. In my earlier part of my career, I was into research and development of making beers. So I'm a brew master.
There you go. There you go.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks.
Benjamin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Akimoije, and I'm based in Windhoek, Namibia. I've also been a few months co-lead in Newbie Talk. I use Tableau on campus. I've been a Tableau student ambassador for about 2 times, and I also teach undergraduates how to use Tableau, introduction to Tableau, and data visualization. So it's been exciting being part of this group. And I also want to say hi to Tori, my mentor down, looking out there. Thank you.
Okay. Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura. As you can see that Jim mentioned, I'll be doing the quiz later today. I work at a law firm here in Chicago as a senior business intelligence analyst. And I've been using Tableau ever since I joined the firm and in my master's program. And I've been growing with this team, and I've been part of this team for a while. And I came back to the team last year because I had left for almost a year before. And Jim was so kind to welcome me back. And I'm just so glad to be part of the team again and help this team grow more and reach more people. So thank you. But yeah, this is an amazing team.
Okay, Laura's the superstar, and we're so glad to have her back. She was one of the originals with Viraj. Maddie can't be with us today. Maddie actually had to do something in her day job. I don't quite understand that, but Maddie is in Indianapolis, and in our next meeting, Maddie's going to be one of our presenters, so we're glad to have her as part of the team. My name's Jim Daner. I live in Nashville. I'm one of the Tableau visionaries, and I'm a 5-time visionary and a 9-time ambassador, and I'm one of the co-founders of this group. We have 2 very special guests here today, and Reka, I see that you're here. You can you make yourself visible and just say hello to the group?
Oh, I would absolutely love to. Hello, everyone. My name is Reka. I am the CMO for Tableau. I see a lot of you familiar faces that I've met over the years. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first newbie tug, and I'm so excited to be here. Happy New Year.
We're glad to have you with us today. And then, of course, our guest presenter is Matthew Miller. And Matthew, why don't you let everybody know where you are, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, everyone. Matthew. I'm a product manager at Tableau and been in the Tableau community a long time. I see a lot of familiar faces and a whole lot of new ones. This is the newbie tug, after all. I'm based in the cold, chilly Midwest. I'm in the western suburbs of Chicago. I've been connecting in the chat with some other folks who are enduring the cold today. And yeah, looking forward to getting to share with you about my Tableau journey and the whole Tableau platform today.
Yeah. In case you missed this, Matthew's the Vice President of Product Management, and Reka is the Chief Marketing Officer. So we are thrilled to have you with us. It's an honor to have you attend and be part of our group today. Raj, I think we're ready to go on to the next slide.
Perfect. So we have a lot planned this year to help get you certification ready. So coming after this session in March, we have data modeling and data prep with Jenny Martin. After that, we'll have all you need to know about calcs, order of operations, as well as publishing workbooks, differences between cloud, server, public with Adrian. After that, we have a session all about LODs, table calcs, and also a battle between them with Erica Hughes. Then we'll talk about using the best chart types and Dennis will actually show us how to create some cool maps. After that, we'll go over filters, sets, parameters, all that good stuff, along with Klaus sharing how to use Viz extensions. And then finally, just to wrap up the year, we'll show you how to create a beautiful yet functional dashboard. And Lisa Trescott, who we all love, will tell us all we need to know about storytelling. So stay tuned. Now, just to kind of give a quick reminder that we aren't actually a training program, but there are many resources that we recommend to help you on your learning journey. And we have some links on the screen right now. So the first one is Trailhead, which has loads of learning resources. Then you can also sign up to do the Tableau data analyst exam as well. And we have a link to the exam guide, which is super helpful and tells you everything that you need to study on your way to doing the exam.
Okay. I don't know, a lot of you, I'm sure this is your first year using Tableau, and you just came to Tableau like I did, with a background in Excel or a background using spreadsheets. As a matter of fact, I was working with a client at that time. I was a independent consultant at that time. And they came to me and they said, look, we want you to learn Tableau, but not to worry. It's just like Excel. It's just like a spreadsheet. And quite honestly, nothing could be further from the truth. I'm sure you've had that happen in your experience also. I was used to working with spreadsheets that looked like this, and each column was a set of data, and each cell had data in it. In this case, it represented the prime count in a different area. This happens to be some FBI data that I'd pulled down from the internet. And if I wanted to do any sort of calculation, I'd go to a cell and I'd open up a cell and I'd put a formula in that cell that looks something like this. And I could take all these columns of data and I could total that data. And I got the answer in that cell, that everything was done in that one cell. And if I wanted to copy that cell, I could copy it and I could paste it in a number of other cells, and that formula would be replicated from cell to cell. Well, I got over and I started using Tableau, and I found out very quickly that Tableau was not a spreadsheet. It didn't work like that at all. And as a matter of fact, if I tried to use Tableau in that manner, I very quickly found out that each one of those columns is a separate measure, and those measures are independent from one another. And I couldn't total these, and I really couldn't do a whole lot with the data. And if I needed to do something with the data, I had to reshape the data. I had to go into the data frame, and I had to take the columns of data and highlight all the columns, and then pivot the data. And once I pivoted the data, I could change these names from the pivot field name to the pivot field values, and I could come back and I could start doing some work with the data. I could look at the individual names of the data, because now once they were pivoted, they were part of a dimension, and I could put the values in each of the columns just by dropping one measure on the sheet, and we could come back and we could do totals. We could total across the rows. I could open this up and we could look at states, and there was just all kinds of things we could do. This plane couldn't do when the data wasn't pivoted. We could also come back and take a look and do some grouping of the data. I could come in here and I could open this up and I could group the data, and we could take parts of the data, group them together, and change that name on that. And group that together, and then throw the other group into other, and we could bring that to the viz, and we could take a look at different levels of data. Well, we found out real quick that there's a whole lot of difference between what a spreadsheet looks like and the expectation of Tableau and how that data needs to look. And in our March meeting, in March the 11th meeting, Maddie from our team is going to show us how we can connect data files together, and Jenny is going to spend time with us showing how we can use prep to clean that data and get that data in a form that Tableau is comfortable using it. Once we have the data in the correct form, there really is a lot of things that we can do with it. We can start doing calculations, for example. If I had the number of crimes in a year and the average population, we might want to figure out what sort of average we had based on 1,000 users, and we could create a calculation using the calculation wizard. And somebody's got a mic open. And using the calculation wizard, we can take a look at all the calculations that are available. They're grouped by category. And we could write a calculation that might look something like this. First, we're going to give it a name here. And we might want to look at the crime rate per 1,000. It might look something like this, and we can. This will just give us the calculation per 1,000. It's been checked and it's valid, and we can apply that, and we can drop it in, and we can see what the crime rate is per 1,000. We could also do some conditional type calculation. We could look at if-then type statements. Like here, if the region is south, we want to see the data in red. If it's not, we want to see it in blue. And we can drop that on color, and we can color our chart. Well, in May, Laura is going to show us how to do those calculations. She's going to take us through simple calculations. She's going to take us through conditional statements. And then Adrian is going to spend time with us, and he's going to show us how we can load our data, upload our data into Tableau Cloud or into Tableau Public, and how we can maintain our data up there. Now, when we get toward the middle of the year, after a conference in July, we're going to take a look at some advanced calculations. And personally, I like to use LOD expressions. And I know other people like to use table calculations. And we're going to take a look at both of those. You could take this data and make a quick table calculation to calculate the percent difference. And once we've done that, we can look at the percent difference, or we could use a LOD expression to calculate the percent within each category. And all this does, it says take a look at the level, at the city level of the total number of crimes versus the state level for the total number of crimes. And we can add that to our chart also. And when we put in cities, we can see that broken down by city and by state. In July, we're going to look at both of those. We're going to look at those advanced calculations. I like LOD expressions. I'm going to do the LOD expressions. Swathi really likes to do table calculations. She attacked me the other day. She said, no, I want to do the table calculations. So she's going to present table calculation. And Erica Hughes is going to spend time with us telling us what to use when and what are the pros and cons involved in using either a table calculation or a LOD expression. Now, we get on to September, and in the September timeframe, we're going to learn how to make different charts and different types of charts, and also maps. We're going to learn how we can make maps directly from Tableau, how we can take those to the city level. We can take and put our average population on size and change that to average. Or we could take a look at our crime rate and how that varies by year, by city. And we can take a look and maybe looking at that as a line chart, for example. Well, Priya is going to spend time with us talking about each one of the chart types and when you would use it and how you would use it to show different, to provide different insights into the data. And in addition to that, Dennis Cow, who is the master of maps, is going to spend time with us, taking us from most basic mapping to more advanced mapping. And that's a session that I particularly want to attend because I like maps a whole lot. And Dennis is the recognized expert in that area. Now we get toward the end of the year, and in October, we're going to take a look at how can we add filters and how we can apply filters and look at different portions of a chart, or how we might want to come in and put in a parameter. We can add a parameter at this point, and we can select from our parameter. We can use that parameter value to create a filter where we can look at the state level, or we can look at all the map. We might want to look at the state of Tennessee where I live and just see what's happening in Tennessee or what's happening in Texas, or we could look at the entire map. Well, in October, Viraj is going to show us how to use filters, sets, and parameters, and how we can use those to provide a user interface with our viz. And then Klaus is going to make a return visit, and he's going to spend time with us to show us viz extensions and how those viz extensions can add some more depth into our presentations and into our maps. And then finally, in November, for our last session, we're going to put it all together and show how we can create dashboards and do storytelling with our dashboards, and how we can go in, dive into the dashboards and take a look at different areas and develop the story behind that. And for that session, Priya and Lisa Trescott are going to be doing that. And these are two master storytellers. If you don't know Lisa, you have to know Lisa. Lisa is a former Iron Viz winner, so we're thrilled to have her. So if we take a look at our entire schedule for 2026, over the next 7 sessions, or the total of 7 sessions, we're going to be taking a look at those topics that are going to appear on that certification test. And I would suggest you might want to start thinking right now about attending those sessions. Our next session is going to be March the 11th, and I believe Well, I know we're going to have a link here where you're going to be able to sign up for that right now. That session is open right now that you can sign up for. And May 27th is going to be our third session. The dates for these final sessions haven't been set, but they'll be in July, September, October, and November. Okay, that'll take us through the entire year. I did want to spend a little bit of additional time with you talking about the language of Tableau. When I first came to Tableau and I started using Tableau, I was just totally lost. Like I said, I'd come from an Excel background and I didn't understand the meaning of some of the words that were being used. I didn't know what a dimension was or what a measure was. And I didn't know the difference between green pills and blue pills or what the canvas was. And aren't data tables and data sets the same thing? And then we've all run into these aggregation error type things. So I thought I'd spend a minute to do a little level setting so that we're ready for our next session in March. If we take a look at any worksheet, just a simple worksheet, that area where the chart is actually made is referred to as the canvas. And you'll hear us talking about the canvas. All we're talking about is this area of the chart. There are shelves, the column shelf, the row shelf, and the filter shelf. That's just places where you place the dimensions or you place the measures. The marks card is where you select the type of chart that you want to see. Drop down, we can see line charts, we can see bar charts, we can see maps, and the tile that type of chart. Like what colors you want to put on it. You can vary sizes, you can vary the detail, or you can put text on the chart. This example we're looking at is Superstore data. There are 3 data files in there, 3 different data sets, and each one of those data sets has dimensions and measures. The dimensions are above the line and the measures are below the line. Well, that's fine, but what are dimensions and what are measures? And this is a most confusing part for new users. You can think about dimensions as being independent variables. They're qualitative or categorical data. You think about creating categories of data. That's done with dimensions, and they affect the level of what you're looking at on the chart. When you drag a dimension to a chart, you create a header. Now, the measures are the dependent variables. They're quantitative or they're numeric in nature. When you bring them to the canvas, they will be aggregated. It will show up like the sum of sales or the average population. They're aggregated as you bring them to the table. And as you bring them to the table, they will create axes. We'll take a quick look here. And if we were to take our category data, you can see that we've created headers for categories. We can open that hierarchy up and we can see subcategories. And if we wanted to take sales, we could drop sales on our column shelf. And we can convert that to a bar chart. And now we're seeing bar charts that represent the total sales. And we've created an axis. And the axis tells us what that total value is. Well, we also talk about blue pills and green pills. Now, there's a whole lot of confusion. When I first started using Tableau, somebody told me that, oh, dimensions are discrete and measures are continuous. Well, that's just not the case. Discrete are like if you have a file cabinet and you took all of your files that began with the letter A and put them in one file, and all of them with the letter B in another file and Z in another file. Those are discrete files. There's a separate file for each one of those groups. Continuous is more like a ruler or a tape measure, where the measure goes continuously, like from 1 to 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Now we can take a look at a dimension here, a date, that is a discrete value. It's a blue pill, so it's a discrete value. We can open it up and we can see we've got years and quarters. And if we were to look at each one of these appear in the center of that header, Q1, Q2, and Q3. We could also take a date and we can look at that date as a continuous value. It's the same dimension. All we've done is open it up, and we're using it as a continuous value. Below this line are all continuous values. Above this line are all discrete values. We're using it as a continuous value now. And we can look at quarters, and we can look at months, and we can drill down into it. Well, if we can do that with a dimension, can we also go the other way and look at measures as a discrete value? Well, yeah, we can. Here we have the subcategory, and I want to take a look at sales. And I'm going to open up sales, and I'm going to declare that sales is a discrete value. And we're going to take sales, I'm going to drop it. And you see it still comes across as the sum of sales. It still has to be aggregated. It's still a measure, but it is a discrete value. And it comes as a blue pill. And I can take the customer names are discrete values. They're alphanumeric data. And I want to drag that to the chart. And as I drag it to the chart, I get the options on how I want to aggregate that. And all I did was right click and drag it to the chart. And I want to count the names distinctly, and we can see them on the chart now. And now we have a green pill that counts the number of customers. So green pills and blue pills. Green is for continuous, blue is for discrete. Dimensions are independent value, and measures are our dependent value. And that's what we need to think about. Also, I want to talk just real briefly about data tables and how data goes into Tableau. The file that we're looking at are Superstore data, and 3 files go in to create the data set that we use for Superstore data. And there's the orders file, the people file, and the return file, and they're connected together. There are a total of 10,000 records that have been uploaded into Tableau. Now, for each one of your worksheets, you create a separate data table. The data table is a subset of the total data that you uploaded. And that data table is defined as you drag headers, or as we drag dimensions to the shelves, and we apply filters to those dimensions. If we take a quick look here, our category and our subcategory created headers, and I've applied a filter based on consumer. So we're only looking at consumer data. If we take a look at the total data set, and I'm going to open up this little hamburger here, this takes a look at the entire data set, and we can see there's 10,000 rows of data. And there's 3 data files there. Now, if I go up to analysis and I open up analysis and I look at this hamburger, the view data here, I'm looking at the data table for this specific, and that data table has 2 parts. It's got 17 rows, and that's the 17 subcategories, and there's 3 fields. We're looking at the category, the subcategory, and we're looking at the count of the orders. If we take a look here at the underlying data, and you'll hear us talk about underlying data or the data table, that total is 5,280 rows. There's only 5,280 rows of data for this data table, and that for this worksheet, and that's the only data that's available for this worksheet. So what we loaded into Tableau was 10,000 rows of data, but that's not what's available on this worksheet. The only data available on this worksheet is the data associated with the consumer segment, and that's 5,280 rows. Now, one final concept that I want to share with you, and that's the idea of aggregated data. Now, you see when we drag to the canvas, it gets aggregated. We got the sum of sales, or we've got the average population, and that aggregation takes place at the level of the viz itself. we can the quantity and the sales. We might want to find out what our average selling price is. And we can look at the aggregate of that in an aggregated level. And you've seen me do this before. We take the sum of sales and divide it by the sum of the quantity, and we get our average selling price. And we look at that data, and we can see values like this, 131, and the average overall of all of furniture is 90. But we can also look at this at the row level. And the row level formula looks like this. It's just sales divided by quantity. Now, you're not going to do this often, but you will use it from time to time. And we can look at that value, and those values are very different from the aggregate that we were looking at previously. Well, the difference here is this calculation is working on that 17 row level of the data. It's the aggregated data. This calculation is working at that 10,000 record level of the data. Now, you're going to get into Tableau, and you're going to be using Tableau, and you're going to get questions about aggregation and not aggregation, and you're going to get errors because data is either aggregated or not aggregated. In Tableau, all the calculations have to be at the same level of data. This row level calculation is at the 100,000 or the 10,000 levels worth of data. This aggregate calculation is at the 17 row level of data. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you this morning. As we get ready for 2026, it's going to be a big year. We're going to enjoy working with you on different topics that are going to appear in your as you prepare for certification. Priya, do you want to introduce our guest speaker?
Yes, please. So I'm so excited to introduce our speaker today, Matthew Miller, who is the VP of Product Management at Tableau. Now, Matthew is someone that I and countless others have enjoyed watching on keynote stages over the years, and he's known for making complex ideas feel approachable and accessible. And I've also really just always admired his genuine passion for Tableau, the DataFam community, and just empowering people to get the most out of the platform. Now, as this session is virtual, it does unfortunately mean we won't get the shoe reveal that we all anticipate every time he does a talk. Now, for anyone new to the Tableau community, Matthew is famous for always having the best shoes whenever he presents. And I'm sure today is no exception, even if we can't actually see them. With that, I'll hand over to Matthew.
And I need
Thank you so much, Priya. Can you all hear me? Yeah, it's funny. I get asked sometimes how many pairs of shoes I have, and I think the answer at this point is too many. But it's one of my favorite things. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, the Newbie Tug leaders, for the opportunity and the honor to be a part of this today. It's been really fun for me to think about this and prepare for this, because it's required me to put myself back in the shoes that I wore in late 2011 when I first experienced Tableau. And the topic we've got here is the right tool for the right job. It probably could just be Matthew rants about data things for half an hour and demos stuff. That would also have been equally accurate. But I have a goal, and I have an agenda and a plan, and it's to maybe cast a broader vision even than maybe you might be aware for some of the things that are possible with Tableau. And I don't want it to be overwhelming. That's one of my goals. I don't want to be overwhelming, because we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, hopefully things you haven't seen before, to open your eyes to the possibilities of the platform that you're just beginning to learn. But don't worry, you don't have to learn it all at once. And I love what this group has done. I love watching Jim's breakdown that we just saw, just walking patiently through those things. In fact, the thing I'm afraid of, because I've been using Tableau so long, is just going too fast. I talk fast as it is and just going too fast. So here's what I will offer to you all. You can just throw in the chat, hey, slow down. Could you show that again? I will not be offended at all. A very long time ago, I was a Tableau trainer, like Tori Levinson, who's on the call. And I remember, you go, oh, all right, so then we do this, then we do that. And sometimes a trainee would say, hold on, you skipped like 5 steps. Walk me through it step by step. So if I do any of that today, feel free to ask me to go back. I don't like long, boring introductions, and I certainly won't subject you to one, but maybe the best way to sort of get to know who I am is to watch what is maybe my favorite demo. This is a Tableau Tim's video covering it. I think I put it in the chat. Maybe I lost it. I have it. I'll grab the URL for you and share it. Maybe my favorite demo that I've ever gotten the chance to do at Tableau Conference 23. And I think it gives a good summary. Tim breaks it down really well. I do have a title. I'm a VP of Product Management at Tableau. I lead a great team called Customer Impact and Innovation. We get to work on the really cool stuff, and we get to spend time with customers and community. And I think the most satisfying thing about what I get to do is to listen to you all and get your feedback on what you need to be able to see, understand, and act on data, bring that to the product teams, and then come back and go, look, we built it. And that's just so satisfying, that loop. All right, we got a lot of stuff to cover. So you can Google for anything else and find my bio. I have a bunch of kids and a cat, and I live in Chicago. All that's accessible on the internet. I'll start by telling you about the first, or maybe the second, but certainly one of the first vizzes I ever built in Tableau. And then I'm going to show you how I built it. I thought that might be kind of fun, try to put myself back in that place. I downloaded Tableau version 6.1 and tried it out. I wasn't a Tableau user. I was working for a tech company in a solutions engineering and sales role. And a friend of mine said, hey, you should check out Tableau. And I was like, I've never heard of it, but I took French so I can spell it. And I downloaded Tableau and I just dragged in some of my data. And like many of you, I didn't go and there wasn't a newbie tug back then. I didn't go and read a manual. I didn't watch any videos, at least at first. I just opened the product and tried it out. And I was amazed how intuitive it was. You don't have to know what cribbage is to understand this little demo I'll show you, but you'll just need to know that it's a card game. The card game I've played since I was a kid. My parents played, my grandparents played. It's apparently an old English game that dates to the 1500s. And the card game, often played with two people. The deal goes back and forth. Each person takes turns dealing, and the dealer gets an extra hand. So they tend to kind of leapfrog. When you're the dealer, you tend to score more points. So you kind of leapfrog back and forth across the board, and the first person to 121 points wins. So I said, well, I'll understand this new tool I'm learning called Tableau. Let's see if there's any data about this game that I play a lot. So I downloaded a data set about cribbage. Now in cribbage, you have the dealer, like I said, and the person who's not the dealer. So I just thought, well, let's see, what do I have here? I have this odds of winning, and that odds of winning looks like a really interesting thing to understand. So I'll put the non-dealer score on columns, and I did that by double clicking. I could also, of course, have just dragged out the dealer score. And now I've got this block of things. And so I've got the dealer score and the non-dealer score, the dealer score on the y-axis. And it was when I put the odds of winning on color that I immediately saw an insight I'd never seen before. So first of all, I picked up on a few things. And what I love about Tableau is that it's instantaneous. It's all about connecting me right to the data, because Tableau is built and was created based on this thesis that if we could see and understand the world around us, we could act, and the actions we take would be better than the ones we take otherwise. I've been playing cribbage my entire life. I was taught by my parents. I've never read the Hoyle rule book, but I think I know all the rules. And I thought I knew how to play cribbage. One of the things I learned immediately is if you deal, you immediately have a better chance of winning, like a 5 percentage points better chance of winning just by dealing. Well, you know, when I would play with my sister, she would go, I'll deal first. And now I know why. She had out of the gate a better chance of winning. And hey, 5 percentage points matters. But also I noticed something interesting, that there's this ebb and flow. I mentioned that the dealer has an extra hand. Again, you don't have to know the mechanics of the game, but there's this ebb and flow that happens throughout the game as you go back and forth. And so it turns out that in the beginning of the game, that doesn't really affect your chances of winning. But as you get to the end, this kind of sine wave appears in the data. And so it's actually the case that you can be in a spot on the board where you are pretty far behind your opponent, but have an equal likelihood of winning. That's what this shows us here. And so sometimes I'd be close to the end of a game. I used to play with my siblings all the time. I just played this past weekend with them and realized, oh, actually, I'm not in such a disadvantaged spot because I actually have a chance of winning. And that's what I saw immediately. And so I went and built a little dashboard, and this is the actual dashboard that I built. And this enabled me to have a kind of decision tree. And did I tell my siblings that I had this? No. If we were playing a game online, they live all over the country, all over the United States. Now I might have this little tool in my pocket so I could say, ooh, I was dealt, let's see, a king, a 5, a 4, and an ace. Oh man, I'm the dealer. I actually have a lower chance of winning. Using Tableau, I don't call that cheating. I mean, hey, data itself is an advantage. This is one of the first businesses. It's a little embarrassing, of course, to show the first things that you ever built in Tableau. I'm sure that there are data visualization experts who would tell me things. In fact, I would tell myself, don't use red and green, use colors that are better for those who may, it's not hard to find things that you could improve here. But this is the first dashboard that I recall building with Tableau. And it's cool. One thing I love is you can go back and open a Tableau 1.0 workbook and they still work, which is awesome. In fact, for Tableau Keynote last year, and Reka, if you're listening, we were actually toying with the idea of doing a demo of Tableau throughout the years so you can see how it evolved. And to do that, I got some support from engineering to find a version of Tableau 1.0. It only ran on Windows, and it ran on an ancient version of Windows, which we had to go find. We got it working, and it was awesome to use that. So that was the first business I ever built with Tableau. And so if you think of Tableau's reputation or brand is known for this visual analysis. Like I could have totally looked at this table of data. This table right here is the same information that's represented in this viz. It is, but which would you rather look at to get an insight? Would you rather look at this viz that gives you all these cool insights about the advantage a dealer has, or your position, your power or likelihood of winning based on where you are on the board, or look at this table? I think I know the answer. And I learned so much. I learned also right away about the power of what I've learned to call first things first, second things second. Common mistake that I see people make when they begin learning Tableau is they're like, wow, I can put all this stuff on the dashboard. I should put everything I can on the dashboard because that will lead to more insight, because the more stuff on the dashboard, the more insight, right? And it turns out that's not true at all. In fact, there's science, there's research behind this, that over a certain number of things on the dashboard, actually the insight goes down. Because what I've learned is the speed to insight isn't just how fast I can get the dashboard to respond or load, it's how fast people can understand the insights that are in it. So I've definitely learned less is more. One of the powerful things about Tableau is this dynamic and interactive tooltips, which enables me to see the additional information. So as a visualization designer, I'm not hiding that additional information that someone might want, but I'm placing the first things first and then the second things second. They're always right there, just one mouse over or click away. So I thought you might want to see where I started when I was a newbie a long time ago. And I got to learn from some really great people whom some of you know, like Jonathan Drummey, Dan Murray, and many others. But okay, let's move a little bit forward then. So let's expand a little bit into Tableau today. This is the Superstore workbook that comes with Tableau. And I wrestled for a little bit with what I might show you that might be something that isn't overwhelming, but maybe something new. As you're beginning to learn Tableau, you'll learn a little bit about how Tableau thinks. And I have to say, for me, coming from the data world, this was the flip that I had to have. See, in most tools that I'd worked with in the past, and I'll go into this bar chart by clicking that little arrow, most tools I've worked with in the past, they work like this. You go, I want to make a chart. What kind of chart would you like? I would like a bar chart. Where is your data? Oh, it's over in this column and row. It's in this cell. I have to figure that out and wire that up either with code or some kind of ugly gray user interface if you're using Excel or Access. And then after you click the right things, after filling out a bunch of information, hoping you got it right, you'd get a chart and you look at it. You go, oh no, that's not quite right. Then you had to go repeat the process again. Known as wizard-driven approach. And Tableau flips that whole paradigm the other way around, because instead of saying, you tell me what chart you want, and then tell me where the data is, Tableau says, hey, if you tell me what data you care about, what kind of questions you have, I can help recommend the best visualization for you. That's the science and the research that's behind Show Me. In fact, the research paper, Jim, I should share that, or maybe you can remind me to share the research paper here. It's a good read. The research behind the Show Me is guided visualization. So if I say, actually, I'm interested in looking at dates, and I'm looking at a ship mode, and let's see, profit. as I select these, and I'm holding down Control on Windows or Command on Mac, as I select these, you notice the charts light up or don't light up. So I can't do a scatter plot. Why? I've only got one measure. Can't do a map because I haven't selected anything that's got anything geographic in it. It actually tells me that here. And it recommends that for what I've selected, you probably want this visualization, but these are the other options. So actually, I ask the question first, and then Tableau guides me to the visualization. By separating those things, Tableau makes it very fluid for me to explore different ways of presenting the same information. So maybe the biggest thing I can give you as a newbie is try Show Me. And by the way, I use Show Me all the time. Show Me is fantastic. Saves me a bunch of time, but also guides me to things that I might not have thought of. So that's built into the DNA of Tableau. It's helping you find the right visualization. And that's just a pivot in thinking. It takes some getting used to for sure. You go, wait, I don't tell it what chart I want. No, you start with the data. And then you have the freedom to explore many different perspectives and to find the right one for the question that you have. And I'm sure in other sessions, you'll learn a ton about the marks card, and there's a whole world you can learn about, but that's kind of the foundation of Tableau, is that idea that you tell us the data and what your questions are, and we'll help you find the right way to visualize it. What I thought I would show you then, that maybe is something you haven't seen yet and might be valuable, is what Tableau can do to help you build new analysis, not just the charts like Show Me, but new analysis. So let's say that I have a dashboard like this, and I have all these customers. I've got their profit on the y-axis and their sales on the x-axis. I am a sucker for a good scatter plot. I love a quadrant analysis. Draws your eye to outliers. And then I have over here the same customers, but they're in a bar chart. And I've set up what's called a highlight action, so that when I move my mouse over these, it highlights where the same customer is over here in the other chart. Very common thing to do, and a really good idea to do. Well, I've got this one customer, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And that's Grant Thornton. Grant, I can tell by the color here. You see that profit is encoded in color. By encoding, I mean that when I look at color, the color in this bar chart tells me about profit, while the size tells me about sales. So there's a number of things I could do if I want to understand why is it that Grant pops out to me as the one who's not profitable. And there's a number of techniques that you will learn and can learn for doing that. We could, for example, click that little arrow that I've clicked before to jump into this sheet, make some changes to this. I could right click on this sheet and I would duplicate it and then start to make some changes. Let's use Show Me maybe to look at some different ways of presenting the same information. We can drag in or out additional information, slice and dice, that's all possible. And of course, I lost my train of thought. There's one other thing I was going to show you. Let's see, what was I going to do? There's one more thing I was going to do this chart. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the idea is you can do all that drag and drop and you can explore, and we can go find out more about Grant. Oh yes, right. You can right click, of course, to say duplicate as cross tab. That's a nice way to quickly get a summary of all the text behind it. I'm just showing you a few techniques that you would use for getting a sense of what's going on with a chart. I also love, this is just some of my favorite unsung features. Maybe that's the title of this talk, is features I love to talk about that no one talks about. You can also get a summary of the chart. There's under worksheet, there is a describe sheet, an underutilized feature that gives you a complete summary of what's going on with the data. And this is scoped and relevant to the filters that are on this sheet. Tells me everything that's going on. Super useful for getting a summary. And lastly, one of my favorite unsung heroes, you have the caption. And the caption is also a summary of what's going on with the viz. And you'll notice, pardon me, as I add or remove things, the summary updates automatically to reflect what's going on with the chart. So there's a bunch of things I could do to try to figure out why Grant is not profitable. I mean, we could focus in on just Grant by clicking keep only. We can go look at the summary data and even the detailed data behind it to try to figure out what's going on. But I'm not going to do any of those. So, all right, we got a harbor tour of ways you could have figured. I'm not going to do that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select Grant. And even before I do that, I'm going to open this thing up here in the top right. And this is called the data guide. I love the data guide. We took a bunch of features that were various places in the user experience of Tableau, and we put them all in one place. I'm going to select Grant. And when I select Grant, you can see that I get a number of pieces of information. So I have the dimension value, the customer name. I'll zoom. Hopefully when I zoom, do you see that, Jim, on your side when I zoom? Good. I see the profit ratio. So this is the details. This is the marks information. I can understand what filters were applied. That's useful. And a summary of the data. It's ranked 23 out of 800. That's pretty cool. But I want to draw your eye down here to explanations. This is a feature called Explain Data. And the reason I'm doing this one and showing you this one in the newbie tug is because I demoed this at a conference about 2 or 3 years ago. And afterward, a customer came up and said, that feature is so cool. When is Tableau going to release that? And I said, 5 years ago. It's in the product you have right now. It's awesome. It's this hidden gem. What this does is what's known as key driver analysis. This is statistical analysis. It's not AI per se. It's just statistics. And we look at the drivers. We drill down to the next layer or two. And I can see that it's found that one of the reasons that Grant is here as an outlier is because of this low profit ratio. So I'll click this little caret to expand, and it thinks for a second. It actually is thinking. It's doing a bunch of analysis. Look at what it's done. If I open each of these, it's created an interactive visualization. So this is a live Tableau viz that I didn't have to make, that it built for me. And again, this isn't like generative AI. This is statistical stuff. This is algorithms that we've identified and built these vizzes. And I'll go down and look at this one because this is really cool. Grant has a higher average discount than other marks. Oh, interesting. Maybe that's the reason. And all I have to do is click this little button right here. This is, again, unsung hero in Tableau, open in worksheet. And depending on your data, it may think for a second. This has built a new chart for me. Think of it like Show Me, but Show Me based on your actual insights, like the next level analytical insights on your data. And notice it's very conveniently colored Grant. And it's done that actually by creating I put a little group here, I believe, right on, and so that we can see where Grant is, which is just really cool. It's actually done that by using a type-in calc, which is just really, really neat. Isn't that nifty? Type-in calc means like this is an ad hoc calculation. It means it's scoped only to this worksheet, so it doesn't clutter my data source. So I could take that same dimension that it's created for me and use it to split my viz, or I could even use it, say, for size. And that means, of course, that's the opposite of what I wanted. I want to see Grant nice and big. So we're going to swap that around by editing the size. You do that right from the legend. There's Grant. Grant pops nice and big. Let's put that full screen, and I'll put the customer name on label. There he is. So now what this has done is, like, I didn't actually have to build anything. I started from a chart, I found something that was an outlier, and I used the data guide and what's known as Explain Data to drill you in. And I see a bunch of people saying, I didn't know this feature. I'm telling you, there's so much cool stuff in Tableau. This is one of my favorites. The telemetry tells me, I guess this isn't really confidential. The telemetry tells me that something like 2% of desktop users and authoring users only use this feature. And that means 98% of them probably don't know it exists, because it's the first thing I go to when I'm like, why is that? You know, that inevitable question. Why is that one an outlier? Why is that high? Why is that low? And well, you wanted to explain the data. And so we named that feature Explain Data. There you go. So when it comes to analysis, the thing that I love about Tableau and the thing that it unlocks for you is it's there to facilitate your ability to see, understand, and act on data, but to do that without barriers, without limits, without guardrails. You have this same fluid experience, whether you're looking at data from Snowflake or Databricks or Salesforce or an Excel file or a PDF or JSON, whether it's, let's call it governed data or ungoverned data, whether it's big data or tiny data, whether it's ad hoc or it's scaled or structured, that same fluid experience for helping you to see and understand and act on data, and then turn around and share that with others. All right. Now, I've already realized that I probably prepared like 5 times as much content as we have time for, which is great. Maybe if I'm lucky, they'll invite me back in 2027. I'm going to pause and breathe for a sec just to check the Q&A, because I did promise I would answer questions as we go. Let me see if I can tackle any of those right now or tackle them different.
Probably can you repeat this feature again? You know, I think that's where people are more excited about.
Explain data?
Yep.
Yeah. What would you like me to do? Just show it again?
Yeah, maybe a quick recap kind of stuff.
Of course. So from any mark, and a mark, of course, is a bar, a dot, etc. From any mark, you can select that mark and see detail about it in the data guide. So I'll close it again. The data guide is this little flag post, signpost up here in the top right. So you click that to open it. The data guide has 3 layers of detail. One is the dashboard level, one is the sheet level, one is the mark level. So if I click away, so I'm just looking at the entire dashboard, I can see dashboard details. In the data guide, there's information that the author has provided for me, as well as information that Tableau is providing, if that makes sense. So the author might put some text and some links, but also Tableau is figuring out things live based on the data that's there. So it gives me a summary of what's going on, and then also looks for outliers and things that I should focus in on. So then you can go into the worksheet level. When you select a worksheet, now you're getting worksheet level details. And when you select an individual mark, like I did with Grant here, you get mark level details. And explain data is one part of the data guide. It's this thing that says explanations. It's this explain data feature. And it does key driver analysis. And what it does behind the scenes is it drills down to find out which of the dimensions is a driver of that particular measure. And then it builds vizzes for me based on best practice that guide me to understanding more about it. In fact, this interesting one has an extreme value called, that's 8,000. Oh, this is really interesting. We're doing this, we're shooting from the hip here. I hadn't clicked in to see what other insights were available. It's built this really nice outlier analysis of his sales, giving me details about that record. It's visualized the difference between Grant's sales and others. This is all awesome analysis, and it's done for you automatically. And everybody's over here going, when are we going to get more Gen AI? And I'm like, hey, this has already got intelligence that answers a lot of your questions and builds stuff for you. So if you're not using this feature, you're missing out. Tableau's sitting there waiting to help you out. I'm a huge fan of explain data, if you can't tell. All right, we got to move on. We got lots of things to do. This is going to be a harbor tour of other things beyond the core of analysis. So let's go to the data. There's no analysis without data. I see David is asking, are we going to talk about prep? We are. I see a bunch of calls here. Let's see if I can answer some of these. Are any of these? Is there a clear rule of thumb for when to use Tableau versus Excel? That is a good question. Excel is, to me, is like a database. It is a data store. You can edit it and add calculations and so on. But when you want to understand what's in that, that's what Tableau is very powerful for. So I would use Excel for, making sure all the figures are correct and fixing those things and so on. That's where I'd go and tweak the numbers. But I would use Tableau to understand and analyze it. Whenever I get sent a spreadsheet, I just get grumpy and I open Tableau so I can understand it. But okay, we'll definitely have to cut this way short, Jim, because I had a ton of things to cover and was way optimistic about how fast I'd go. Let's just say, so far, what you've seen is core analysis. And it's analysis that I might do for myself or analysis that I might do for others. And I think as Tableau users, we often wear both hats. We're trying to analyze and understand data for ourselves, but we often serve other stakeholders. Reka might say, Matthew, do you know what's the usage of Tableau Cloud for this type of customer? And I might say, okay, let me go see if I can find some data on that or a dashboard, or if I can't, maybe I'll go analyze it and send her, here's a dashboard that I made. Here's some insights I found. So we often do create assets for others, which is almost a different muscle. I tend to think a lot more about formatting when I'm presenting something to someone else. But of course, none of that happens without great data. We haven't talked about data at all yet. And Tableau Prep, we created more than 10 years ago to deal with that because data is messy. In fact, in my experience, almost a decade as a Tableau consultant and consulting leader, I probably spent 80% of my Tableau projects wrestling with the data, QAing the data, or fixing something in the data that the stakeholders said was broken. And if you work in data, you may have a similar experience. So we created Tableau Prep to bring that same visual, direct, and easy experience to Tableau. So this is another of those things where if you have a Tableau Creator license, you have access to Prep Builder. You have a license of this. Nobody get to pay any extra. There's no additions or subscriptions. If you've got Tableau Creator license, you have access to Prep Builder. And I love Prep. I love the Prep team. I love what they've done. In a way, this is a form of analysis before you do the analysis, because I can say, oh, that's interesting. It's giving me a profile on the data. Here's all the records that are in the consumer segment. Oh, okay. So if I focus in on that or keep only that value, that's fantastic. Here's what you should know about Prep. if we're going to give you the 2-minute crash course, think of prep as an assembly line. Think of prep as an assembly line. Prep is an assembly line where at the end, the output looks totally different than the input. So we are running these rows through a bunch of transformations and joins and cleanups and scripts and whatnot. And then there's these output steps where we push it somewhere else. We push it back to another file. We push it to a database. We can publish from Tableau Prep to pretty much anything. We can actually publish it directly to Tableau, to Salesforce Data Cloud, and to a whole bunch of very popular databases. So this is changing your data. And I get this question from new learners all the time. How is that different from the data source tab in Tableau where it looks kind of similar? The difference is this is an expression of relationship. I'm just defining how these things relate together. I'm not actually changing this data. I'm just telling Tableau, oh, this orders table comes from Databricks, but this people, this comes from Workday. And this return thing comes from some other system, some web service. I'm telling Tableau how to relate the data whenever I ask questions of it, but I'm not actually transforming the data. So this is not a pipeline. This is just expressing how things work together so that Tableau can ask accurate questions. Whereas Tableau Prep is a pipeline, like an assembly line to transform the data. There's so many cool things that this can do. It has a ton of intelligence for cleaning up data, a lot of really cool geospatial things. We could spend hours on Prep alone, but definitely explore Tableau Prep. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan. It also has Tableau Agent for Prep if you have Tableau Cloud with Tableau Plus. And that's like a conversational experience where you can just ask and it will build the flow for you. Big fan of Prep. The next thing I thought I would share, presuming we've built great analysis and we've built great data sources and we've shared them, is what can we do with that and how can people consume that? Well, the 30-second history is Tableau started out with just Tableau Desktop, just that authoring experience. It was Windows only, it was 32-bit, way back in the day. And very quickly people said, okay, can you share that? Because the power of Tableau, as you saw when we were there in authoring, is not only that I can do this analysis, but this analysis is not static. This isn't a PDF or a screenshot, it's interactive. So what I've created here is not just an analysis, it's an interactive analytical app. That's what a good dashboard is. It's an interactive app. I can give this, build it once and give this to 20,000 salespeople or marketing people or store managers. They can interact on their own and find their own insights, which is super powerful. So in the early days, people would just email around their workbooks or put them on a file share. And so very quickly in version 4, we released what was known as Tableau Workgroup Server. And not long after that, we released Tableau, what's now Tableau Cloud. So this is the ability to share and consume and collaborate on all those assets in a web experience. So I'm looking here at a data source that I'd published, and it has 179 connected workbooks. So if you think about the work that you do in desktop, like we used to be, I would say predominantly, I would see people create a model just good enough to build the charts that they need and get the dashboard done. So I'll go back to my desktop experience for a second and look at my data sources. I would just build good enough data sources to get the job done. But now when you create those data sources, you can optionally share those in a way where they can be reused by numerous people and by numerous analyses. So this Superstore data source, once shared into Tableau server or cloud, can actually be used by thousands of other people. This one data source has 179 workbooks and many, many dashboards built on top of it. So the big change that I've seen happening recently is going from thinking about a data model in Tableau as just good enough. So I'll see people take like SQL statements out of dbt and just paste them into Tableau and go, okay, all right, now I can build my chart. Well, you can do that, but you miss out on all the amazing stuff that Tableau can do, because now in this AI and agentic world, the more information we have about the data, the cooler insights we can bring you. So next thing I wanted to say was sharing and publishing and reusing those data models, super powerful. And we won't have time to go into this, but we have a whole bunch of cool ways, and I'll show you just a couple, where those data sources, once they are published independently of dashboards, can be reused for a bunch of cool purposes. I will, just in the interest of being a good trainer, I will go back one more time to desktop and show you how I would do that. You can do that a few ways. A design philosophy for us for years has been, if it's a major thing you're going to do a lot, we'll give you 3 ways to do that. So most things in Tableau that are significant can be accessed from the from the menu, the file menu, from a button, and also usually a keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to go back into my my sheets. You can see my data source. You can see under my data menu, I have all these data sources. I can choose to publish them from here. I can also right-click on the data source and click publish. And there is a third way somewhere that I can't remember. So if I click publish to server, what I'm doing is I'm not publishing my entire workbook with all my charts and dashboards. I'm publishing just that data source. And a data source is one or more connections to multiple things. It's those relationships, those calculations, default aggregations, default colors, and formatting so that others can use it. Once those are published, then other people can build workbooks on top of those, just as simple as saying new workbook. So I can take that data source that somebody else has made and they can start, and they're not starting from scratch now because they've got not just the data connections, but also calculations that I've created, et cetera. Key to that working effectively, especially in an organization of any size, is data quality. And these are called data quality warnings. I know this is the harbor tour of Tableau capabilities, but that's what I'm trying to do. So what I love about this is this takes us now a level beyond what I can do in desktop. I've actually experienced this many times myself. This is demo data, but I'll be looking at some data that we have internally and I'll see someone has marked this, hey, this is deprecated, or there's a data issue that's happened upstream. Makes it a good way to communicate to other people who want to use this asset, whether it can be trusted or not. All right. Jim, you said you want me to wrap about 20 till, is that right?
You've got about, let's say 10 more minutes max.
10 minutes, okay. I'll pause to see if there are any questions. Tableau platform designed on Java. I'm going to just grab that question because, yes, part of it is written in Java. Not all of it, though. I think I'm going to skip this demo, unfortunately. Priya, I know you saw this in London. It's available online anyway. We can share that in one of the follow-up links. A demo that walks you through a bunch of different experiences. What I want you to take away from maybe these next few minutes is, all right, I've done this analysis. What are all the other ways that people can get value out of it? Some people, maybe think of Tableau as it was 15 years ago, might say, oh, it's just a charting and dashboarding tool. That's all the value I can get out of it. And I want to show you some new ways you can get value in addition to dashboards out of what you've built and analyzed in Tableau. First of those is sharing in Slack. So I've got a bunch of assets that I've created. These are all interactive now and shared directly into Slack. What about Teams? Well, we've got support for Teams as well. So this is the Microsoft Teams client. It's like a chat and collaboration tool that a lot of people use. And you can add, if your admin approves it, you can add the Tableau cloud server app. And then I can view my dashboards or my metrics directly here. I can also share them directly into conversations. So here's a chat with my colleague, Rob, and we're going back and forth. What's cool about this is it's a snapshot of the insight at the point in time, which is what you want. You know, if we were talking about this in September and I open it today, I don't actually want to see today's numbers. I want the context for where I was then and what I was thinking about then, but it's one tap to go and open the actual metric and consume it and see the latest values, which is really, really awesome. You also can share these live in meetings in, I just clicked away, I almost had loaded. You can see these live in meetings and share them in like whether those are dashboards or metrics. Other places, I'd hoped to go through a little more like kind of ancient history to see where we came from. This, I think I'll just give you a bunch of leave behinds and things to look up. This is the original research project at Stanford. It was called, actually, I'll do a quiz. Hopefully it's not on the screen and you can't see it. Anyone know the name of the original research project? What Tableau was called before it was Tableau? I'm just going to see in the chat. Someone's got to know it. Nobody? There we go. Pete wins. Is Polaris. Polaris was called Polaris. The Navigator, and you can see this. You can see the DNA of Tableau there. There's the columns and rows shelf and the marks card. Of course, the user experience has come a long way since then, but that was there even in the very early versions. I think this is version 5 or 6. You can see that DNA was there. This is what it looked like when I started using it. All right, we're going to press forward. I'm going to show you quickly Tableau Pulse. So we've kind of, so far, we've talked about connecting to data and analyzing it, adding some calculations, visualizations, how to find insights and build new visualizations using the guided capabilities that are in Tableau. I didn't drag and drop much today. I used Show Me to build vizzes, and I used Explain Data to build vizzes. But what about Tableau building visualizations for me entirely autonomously? That's Tableau Pulse. With Tableau Pulse, I define the metrics that I care about. Oh, I got logged out. We are very secure, and I have a 20-minute timeout. And so give me a second, get back in here. It's probably going to make me multi-factor. Oh, good. There we go. So we'll sign back in, and I can see these metrics. And the thing I want you to take away from this, if you've not used this, you absolutely should. I'm a huge fan of what the Pulse team has done, because it's all built on the same data models that are used by the drag and drop experience, by dashboards. So it's the same truth. I know I can trust the numbers. The same security rules are all applied. And when you define metrics with Pulse, for someone to follow it, it's as easy as just clicking on it. And there's a longer demo that Priya has linked to. This is actually from my home. I track the soil humidity of a bunch of the plants inside and outside of my home. Let's check on the fiddle leaf fig in the dining room. And the key thing is I didn't have to drag and drop at all to build this. I just pointed Pulse at the same data source I use for the dashboards I built about my home, and I get all this summary right away. And the funny thing is my wife is very smart, but she's not a data nerd and has never really embraced dashboards despite 14 years of trying. And she loved Pulse because she gets the daily digest on her phone. The fiddle leaf fig has been one of her frustrations because they're very specific, and if you don't water it just right, it dies. And we've had a couple of them that didn't make it. And so now she gets this summary. You can see it's driving change. I love this. It's a true story. It has driven change in my home because now she gets the summary that goes, okay, yep, no, it's fine. You can see here, we're kind of on the down slope, and well, probably when it gets right to about here where that band is, she'll go water it again and it'll be fine. So what Pulse does that's awesome is when you just point it at a metric and define the drill down path, et cetera, it builds all these other experiences for you, the visualizations, the reference ranges. You don't have to know how to do that. It does that for you. It also finds statistical insights like trends and builds those charts automatically. We could do hours of demos just on this alone. This is a tremendously cool capability. I think for a lot of business users, this is kind of what they want. Dashboards are amazing when they're great analytical apps. They're guided and constrained by default. They help you really scale analytics. But often business users will go, no, I actually want to ask a question in my own terms. That's where the generative AI capabilities come in. We have that across all your Pulse metrics. So you can ask a question, all the Pulse metrics in one data source. They can pull together summaries, and you can also say, let's see here, can you summarize trends in humidity and put it in the form of a sonnet? This is just to show you this is all live, and it's the power of generative AI is to disambiguate and understand what I'm asking for, then use the trusted truth of Tableau, get to the numbers, get the right visualizations, and then use the creativity of the LLM to format it in some new ways and new places. All right, I got about 60 seconds. I really want to see this. I have no idea. This was kind of a game time decision to ask it for a sonnet. Usually I ask it to put it like Dr. Seuss. I have no idea what we're going to see. And if it doesn't, we'll come back to that in a second. We don't have time to demo more things, but suffice to say, there's a lot of other places where you can leverage all that work you've done in Tableau, whether that is in Google Sheets, whether that's in things like Google Slides. These integrations are all available today. You get them at no additional cost, whether that's in things like Google Docs. We have a number of Microsoft integrations coming besides Teams, including things like Word and PowerPoint, and even large language models. This is Claude, and I've hooked in the Tableau MCP server. And in Claude, I've just asked a question, and it's gone and gotten the same trusted data that I had in my dashboard and in my Pulse metrics, and provided that to me in that new experience. I don't know if this is a good sonnet or not. I think they're supposed to be 12, and this looks more like 18. So, but I love that it cited its sources and built me these visualizations. I want to thank you for the chance to spend some time with you. And there's so much more to the Tableau platform. I feel like it can sometimes be overwhelming, but you're doing the right thing, baby steps, and being a part of this user group is a great way to learn some of those knowledgeable and patient and slow speaking, unlike me, people in the world here on this call. So I know you're on an amazing Tableau journey, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Love to answer questions. I'll dig into the Q&A, but I know we got to move on to the quiz.
Matthew, while while Laura pulls up the quiz, if you release the screen so Laura can pull up the quiz, we did have a specific question about Pulse
Yes.
and the license with Pulse. Does it come? Is Pulse basic with a creator license?
Pulse is a part of Tableau Cloud, and everyone who has a creator license gets access to Tableau Cloud. When you buy a creator license, you get a seat in Tableau Cloud. The AI features are part of a higher edition of Tableau Cloud, but everyone who uses Tableau Cloud has access to Tableau Pulse.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Well, I hope this was helpful. This is just a really exciting journey, and it's been really fun to put myself back in that learner's mindset again.
Okay, we had a lot of questions come up about prep and about using prep. Now, our next session on March the 11th, we're going to go into how do you use that data source page? How do you go about making connections? How do you go about cleaning your data? And as part of that session, Jenny Martin, and she is a prep expert, and Jenny is great to listen to. She speaks a lot slower than Matthew or I do. So plan on being with us on March the 11th, and you can register for that today. Laura, you want to take over and take us through a quiz? We can't hear you, Laura. You're muted.
Yeah, no, I was muted. I shared when you were talking, Jim. I shared the I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, I shared the assessment link. So I'll wait for a few more people to join if you guys would like to. Right now we have 16 people, which is kind of very low. Let me know if you guys can. You can also use the QR code to scan and join. So I'm gonna wait until. I want to wait until we get to 50, but that depends on you guys. So if we have 25 people, I'm gonna lower the volume because it's quite high. Okay.
Yeah, Laura, the volume was quite.
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to mute it.
Noise.
Yeah, no, I don't want people's eardrums to burst off. Okay, we'll wait until 40. It's almost 40. Yeah, I don't really know how to do quizzes like Maddie does. So my quizzes are like, as you might remember, Jim kind of has some silly questions. Maddie does really good with analytical questions. And
there are no silly questions, just silly.
Yeah, but I do like the silly questions. So I like to make it fun. So now we have 40 people. If I can get it to at least 45, I can try to jump in really quick, guys. 2 more people. If I can get 2 more people. Okay, awesome. Oh, okay. I'll just wait like a few more seconds. Once I get to 50, maybe 2 more people. You don't have to join, but thank you.
Matthew, you're allowed to participate in this also. You will receive the same non-cash and non-swag prize.
I'm in.
Okay, awesome. So we have literally 2 more seconds. So that's the leaderboard. Let me see. And if you want to look at the answer is, it can make you, oh, sorry, it's fall. It's false because Tableau is not used to make a spreadsheet. So so people who answered, 17 of you answered true. It can make you a good text table or a table, but it will not help you make a spreadsheet, as we call it in Excel, to be specific. So I'm going to go on to the next question. This is a long question. I'll read it out loud as well. You're working with a field that shows average ratings for different products at a company. Would it be a discrete or a continuous measure? You can kind of tell Maddie made this because I'm not thinking like this. Oh, maybe hopefully that's, yeah, sorry about that. Dave MC, you're there. Okay, Pam, I see you. I see you, all you guys on the chat. Okay, so it is a continuous measure because we are working with a field that shows average ratings, and it's not a discrete dimension, as Jim was mentioning, as well as Matthew was mentioning. Go to the next question. And this was, number of fields can only be continuous, not discrete. I know Jim went over this a little bit, and it's very important that we understand this. I have one more question maybe related to this coming up. Let's see. look at you guys. Awesome. Oh, okay. I see a new person on the leaderboard. But yes, it is false. It can be discrete as well. And I'm not going to spoil any examples because there's a question that leads up to this later in the quiz. I don't know if you guys want the noises, but let me just turn it on because it might be more fun like that way. Okay, so dimensions. This is one of the slides that Jim shared. Straight up took it from his slide. So dimensions can be used to maybe, I don't know. I might have to end the timer faster, but let's see, we have 4 more minutes. Awesome. Oh, okay. AM is back in there and Pete's back in there. Also Pam, I see you. Yeah, it's used to create headers, and that's one of the slides that Jim had. And I did have the volume up, but it's not doing anything, and that's okay. Let's see, I'm gonna go to the next question. I have 14 questions, but I might, if I would like, I might skip a question just to see. Okay, so Jim, when he was doing his, one of the things, when he was showing what exactly row level or the aggregations and stuff was, he used customer ID as a measure. And I was wondering what he actually used. How did he aggregate it? Sorry, I'm like, I don't know why. Okay, Pete, you're back in there, AM. Okay, so let me see. So yeah, he used count distance. So he basically went into the chart and used the customer ID as a count to get how many customers were in each of the different levels or the data that we were looking at. I don't know, the volume's not working. Okay. Next. Okay, this is what I meant by the follow-up question. So this is related to the question we had before, where can a dimension be, like, can numbers only be like a measure or not? So when you have a customer ID, this is something that we might have not covered, but Tableau might do something automatically. So, and let's see, and BW. Yeah, so Tableau will automatically categorize this as true. So for example, you have a customer ID that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you actually import the data into Tableau, it might, in the data source section, it might automatically categorize this as a measure. So this is one of the ways you can manipulate your data within Tableau Tableau Prep or Tableau Desktop, switching back to a dimension. Okay, so like Jim was talking about LOD calculations, because sometimes I don't know what those mean. So it could be live or die, and I truly believe that it's that serious, just because he loves it so much. So yeah, and I truly do believe that. So if whatever you guys think, I didn't know what that was. So because he does talk about LODs a lot. Yeah, so thank you guys. If you've been here long enough, you will know what that means. But yeah, it's not an advanced table calculation. It's a different set of calculations where we used fixed or some other type of material to dig into detail for the level of detail. But I'm glad nobody chose live or die.
We'll get into that for July.
Yeah, yeah, I just saw that. I was like, I know people were confused about that. So just wanted to kind of make sure. So yeah, this was something that Matthew was talking about, that when he first made his dashboards, that he wanted to add more things, as much as information into the dashboard. And we might know it might be useful, it might not be. So what would be categorized as? And yes, AMP, we have a new person in the leaderboard. And yeah, so the correct answer is that you don't need to add all the details into the dashboard that people might be seeing, because we might miss things. Sorry, I'm running out of time. Let me skip to a few more questions. I'll skip to the next slide. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is something that we all kind of learned today, and I thought it was interesting to look at. So what is the hidden gem that Matthew shared for Tableau Desktop? And he shared quite a few, but I wanted to kind of go over and check the specific one that we looked at. He shared a lot of things, but this was very useful, and I know people were in the comments saying they were not aware of this. Yes, and explain data. I absolutely love using that feature. I kind of have a hard time figuring out where things are, but it has helped me a lot to break things down. Okay, let me see if I can skip this question. I will skip this one. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, but this is also what he talked about. You can always publish it directly to ChatGPT if you want, but I don't think that's possible. I haven't seen that option, but Matthew did show us what was going on here. So I am trying to get to the last question because that's the most fun.
Sorry, I talked too much.
No, you didn't talk too much. It's me. I'm trying to talk fast too. So if people can't understand me, my bad. Awesome. So yeah, you can publish directly from Tableau prep output into Tableau Cloud or to your file locally, or you could do publish it to SharePoint. And this was a fun one that I saw that might not know, but it was one of the comments that mentioned as well. He was showing in Tableau Cloud, there's like little pop-ups that show if the data was deprecated or if the data's use is not used anymore. But this is very important to keep track of. If you have like hundreds of data, published data sources like my firm does, it is important to know which data is the most recent, which data you need to use, which data you cannot use. So okay, we have, yeah, Pam, you're getting close. I hope you get in the top 3. But yeah, data labels, and they help so much. They help us understand so many of the different data integrity issues that we face, especially with the cloud, with people using multiple published data sources. And this is just based on Tableau Pulse. It was a throwaway comment by Matthew, but I wanted to make sure people kind of understood how this might work. So when he was sharing the humidity data for the plants in his house, I was just wondering if he mentioned if that's the same data or if it's a different data, but I thought it was interesting to look through. And yes, okay, Pam, thank you. I'm seeing you there. I've seen you comment a lot, so I'm kind of rooting for her. Sorry about that. But yes, you can, your data set can be the same. And this is my favorite question. I sleuthed around. Viraj helped me, maybe kind of stalkery, but I don't think so. But Matthew Miller, we talked about his shoe collection, and I am not sure what his favorite brand is, but I know, but I'm not going to tell you. So this is very specific. I hope you know I went through the YouTube video that Viraj shared to get get this information. It was fun. And yeah, okay. So our winner right now is Pete and Pam. I've seen you in the comments, so thank you, BW. I am not sure who you are. Sorry about that. But thank you so much. But yeah, so he likes the Italian brand called Nascalori. I looked at their website. It looks very cool, very, very niche designs, and they look like really fun shoes to wear. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today.
Outstanding, outstanding. Thank you all for being here today. We really, we really enjoyed you being here with us today. Our next meeting is on the 11th of March. And we really look forward to that meeting. There, we're going to take a look at the data source tab. We're going to learn how to work with the data source tab. And we're also going to have Jenny Martin in from to talk about Tableau prep. And I know there were a lot of questions on prep today, so you'll want to attend that one. Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys. If the team
Thank you,
for a few minutes, we'll do a little recap here. And other than that, we are done for today. Matthew, thank you so much.